another Sunday. That means it's another Howling Hour Live. How's it going, everybody?
It's like pink on my screen.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're looking awfully plink. You're not looking like a floating head in blackness this week, so that's
I'm
pretty
blank
cool.
this time.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
some cool things. We had our modem fixed here, so no more lag on my side. So that'll be nice. Where I'm not having to wait to see if everybody's done talking. So it'll be really good to have a normal conversation. But today's episode, it's me, Marcus, and Noah. We're running things for this week and maybe a couple more weeks while Lucas is working out things with his band for an upcoming show, and Danny's away working on some film things for his company. So today we're going to dive into, and we're going to prep for 28 years later. We're going to dive
Mhm.
into the unaliving moments in 28 days and 28 weeks later. But there's been some interesting news that's broken this week, so I think we kind of have to kind of talk about that a little bit. And the first piece of news that's out there. Well, wait a minute. I got some comments coming in. Let's see here. We got King Matthew. Hey, King Matthew. Thanks for joining us. We're doing good. Appreciate you joining us once
Hello.
again. Oh,
And
you've
everybody
never.
forgive me if I'm frozen. You can still hear me.
Yep. All right. Well, Marcus will be a frozen pain, but at least we can hear him, or maybe not because he just went black.
Mhm.
He's back again. So, King Matthew, you've never actually seen 28 Days Later or its sequel, so I don't know anything about the unaliving moments. So, before we jump into the news, let's talk about this a little bit because, Noah, you recently went back to revisit it after some time away from it. So, and I think you were kind of on the fence going into whether it was going to be really good. And what's your take on it?
So, I've actually never. This is my first time watching 28 Days Later because I've never seen 28 Days Later. But it's my third time watching 28 Days Later. My first time watching it all the way through because I fell asleep on it twice. Watching 28 Days Later, it was good. I really liked 28 Days Later. I thought that it was a really good movie. 28 Weeks Later, it was very different. It was very different type of film. I also very much enjoyed it though. Watching it again for the third time. I don't know which one I like better, but I think that's because they're both done so well.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, rewatching 28 Weeks Later and then watching 28 Days Later for the first time, they're pretty good films.
Now, where would you say rank these in your zombie infected type of rankings? Since we didn't talk about that last week, are they top
Like
five, both of them?
for the
Top
movies
5
that
for
we
both of
ranked
them.
last week,
Hmm.
I'm not sure because we're trying to rank stuff. Well, I wasn't technically trying to rank stuff above the movies, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it would rank in they would rank in my top 5 or not. I'd have to
All right,
revisit.
all
They're in
right,
my
Mark.
top 5, man. They're definitely in my top 5. One being the fact that even though it's classified as zombie films, they weren't zombies, you
Hmm.
know, because of the fact that they were still very much alive, and it was like rabies to the 10th power,
Hmm.
basically.
Yep.
Uh, but just the story behind it, and then because I was a fan of the comic book series too,
Hmm.
uh, there's a few comics out there, trade paperbacks and standalone comics. Just the world itself, the idea of being isolated from the worst, like the first film, the island, England was just isolated from the rest of the world. So the infected wasn't outside of
Hmm.
England.
Yep.
So the whole aspect of that the rest of the world is going on and England is the only one being affected was just an interesting take. And
Yep.
I love that the first movie was a much lower budget indie film, and it was awesome the way it was shot. And then of
Hmm.
course weeks later had a much larger budget, but still the way it was shot, it was still very
Hmm.
much an indie film. So
Yep.
yeah, I love them.
Yep.
Yeah, I love them both.
All right, we got CG dropping in. We got William Watson
What's up,
dropping in.
CG?
Hello, guys. Thank you for joining
Wh-
us.
Yeah.
Um, so just to keep on the King Matthew topic here, so he's not really hyped about the upcoming film as he tried to watch these movies and just couldn't get into them. Hey, Matt, that's perfectly
Hey,
fine,
I
right?
respect that.
Yep,
Yep, I respect that.
yep.
Yep.
There's plenty of
That's what I
flavors
love about
for
horror, man. That's what I love
Yep.
about horror. Everybody, has their opinions. Everybody has their likes and dislikes, but I hate it when people are so much of being gatekeepers
Hmm.
where they like try to force their opinion on you, I'm like,
Yep.
hey man, if you don't like it, you don't like it. It ain't for you, you know.
Yep. Exactly.
I
Exactly.
res-
So what?
yeah.
Why isn't Marcus moving? He's frozen right now. So me and Noah's internet is good this time around, so there's no more lag on our side. But Marcus is taking the brunt of it, so he gets the short end.
Somebody has to have an issue. There can't be a
Yeah.
no issue podcast. That's not
Technology.
how it works.
Yeah, technology. But you know what? Like, no, to your point, real fast, Marcus. Before we switch over to the news topics and our rankings, like they try to throw everything under the zombie category, right? Noah was looking at
Yeah.
this last week. He was talking to me like the Evil Dead's thrown in there, Night of the Demons is thrown in there. They're not zombie films; they're demon
Nope.
films.
Hmm.
So maybe eventually we'll get like just an infected category where it's like viruses and stuff like that. That'd be interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, putting the Deadites under the classification as a zombie when they
Zombie.
are just demons is
Mhm.
crazy. I can understand why the rage virus zombies would why they'd be classified under zombies. Like I know like the original classification for zombies is much different, but for the rage virus zombies, I kind of understand why they'd be classified as zombies right now. Because what else would you really classify them as? Like because
Just infected.
Mhm.
yeah, but
Yep.
people
Yeah, just infected.
zombies as the infected as well. So I mean, then it just kind of loops back to that same thing, and they do the same thing anyways. They're just faster. They starve. They eat.
Well,
They infect.
they don't eat
by-
flesh. They don't eat flesh. That's the one thing they don't do is eat flesh. They either maim you to kill you or they turn you, and that's it. As far as like the blood is, infected, but they don't
Mhm.
feed on flesh like regular zombies do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they
Yep.
didn't show them feeding on anything else.
No, I mean, yeah, their body is dying because they die like normal humans because of starvation and lack of food. But again, they don't feed on flesh like zombies do.
Mhm.
That's the zombies feeding on flesh is their life source.
Yep.
To stay unalive. But the infected don't do that in a 28 universe.
Now, so King Matthew threw another excellent comment out there. He's looking forward to next month because I know what you did last summer is out there. But let me tell you, this month is pretty strong, and the end of
Hmm.
last month is pretty strong for her with Bring Her Back and now
Bring her
Dangerous
back is
Animals.
awesome.
Bring Her Back is fantastic. Right now, it's sitting on the top
Yeah.
of my list for movies this year, and I don't know if anything's gonna touch it. It's just that good. It's a disturbing movie, and when I can go and watch a movie that disturbs me or makes me jump in the theater at least once or twice, and I don't jump in the theaters, that's a damn good horror movie. And this movie got me twice where I jumped out,
Yeah.
and me and Marcus had the same reaction in one scene where we're both yelling out, "Oh shit!" Like, wow, Bring Her Back
Yeah.
was damn good. It was damn good. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for some good horror and you always looking to, hey, should I spend some money on this ticket because they're pretty expensive? Bring Her Back as an extremely slow. Well, it's not extremely slow because you get invested in the characters right away, but it's a slower
Hmm.
paced psychological thriller. Fantastic movie. And then Dangerous Animals, which just dropped this weekend in the theaters. Very, very good serial killer movie. Very good shark movie.
Hmm.
Definitely worth checking out. And I'm trying to think of what I can compare that to, but there's not. This is almost a little bit original in its take, Dangerous Animals. So that's definitely a good one to watch.
People sleep on Jai Courtney, man. Like Jai Courtney, I like him, man. He's a good actor,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
people sleep on him. Yeah.
I'll tell you this, like, I have the movie pass and all, but I would see both of these films again in theaters. So very,
Mhm.
very good films. And then of course Ballerina dropped, which is not a horror movie, but that was fun too. I
I
enjoyed
only
that
got
one.
one issue with that movie, but we'll talk about that another day.
Okay. All right, let's jump into the news so we don't keep everybody waiting here. So the first piece of news, yeah, I'm pissed off
Is it
about
Scream
this, right?
News? Oh,
It's no, it's worse, right? If something can actually
Not
be worse,
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse acquired the rights to the Saw franchise. So,
Oh man,
yeah, yeah,
that's gonna
it's
suck.
bad. Bad.
Yeah.
This is why Saw 11 fell apart. So, the rumors were that Blumhouse and Lionsgate Films have been in negotiations over
Hmm.
producing the next set of horror films, and Lionsgate's like, all right, well, Blumhouse, you can go ahead and make our horror films. We'll give you a lot of the rights to the franchises, and now Blumhouse, it's official. Like
This is
I
this is
wish.
about as bad as them deciding that they're gonna make a Phasmophobia movie.
this is worse. Look what they did to Halloween and Exorcist, right? This is an
Yeah,
absolute
yeah.
travesty.
Yeah, well, we know that anything that they touch that horror related goes to shit eventually.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm
Has James
just
Wan had anything to do with the Saw franchise since the second one?
no.
Producing in name.
Yeah.
Well, producing
Okay.
in name, that's about it. But like not hands on,
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee Waddell's been more involved than James Wan. So, but
Yeah.
man, and
Because
so
Juan owns the majority of the IP, and then Waddell's like the face of it. Yeah.
well, so James Wan has nothing to do with them. No, because I think James Wan and was it Michael Blumhouse? They wanted to form a new horror studio, and so they were merging their ideas and stuff together. So I'm sure he's still going to be involved. I just don't think he's writing, so his name probably will be attached again. But that's
Yeah.
about it. hmm
King Matthew made a good point though. It would be cool if he did direct, and it was like a sequel to Jigsaw, because I like Jigsaw. Jigsaw to me
Yeah.
was a
hmm
solid film. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought Jigsaw was very good. I would look. I want to see Saw 11 continue the story of Saw 10, but we now have lost
hmm
another year and a half for this to happen, and Tobin Bell ain't getting younger, right? So
hmm
Tobin Bell's what, in his 80s now, so it's like if we're
Close
gonna
to
get
it.
it
Yeah.
done, we got to get it done. But I'm with
Yeah.
King Matthew. I will take a sequel to Jigsaw. I would like to
Can't
see. Go ahead.
I just want to call it. I just want to call it now before it actually happens. But I'm calling that once they announce their first Blumhouse Jigsaw movie, it's going to be a reboot. I'm calling
Yep.
it now.
I think
You
you're
know
right.
what? I think you're right on that one, nephew. Yeah, I could see that happening because again, like what they did with Halloween. Well, even though it was a sequel, it was still sort of a reboot with their whole
hmm
new trilogy. So yeah, I
Yep.
could see that happening.
Yep. I think so too. I would say this: like, if you're going to reboot it, it's going to be very hard to do without Tobin Bell. Somebody better start negotiating with Tobin Bell to get his voice, and it's like, hey, look, we're going to give you all this money now because we want to use your voice into the future for this franchise. Because it's like Darth Vader. There's only one voice here for Jigsaw.
There's a
It's
Yeah.
Tobin
there's
Bell.
actually one actor. There's only one actor that I think could fill his shoes because he can turn the light switch on and off as far as playing creepy, and he always plays intelligent characters, but that's Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen, I think, could be an awesome Jigsaw. He was a hell of a Hannibal. A lot of people sleep on the Hannibal TV series, but he was a damn good
I know.
Hannibal.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
He was in Doctor Strange. He was the bad guy.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. He was a bad guy in Casino Royale. Like Mads Mikkelsen is a phenomenal actor. He's the only person I think that could fill Tobin Bell's shoes in the role.
So there's this picture right there, just for those that aren't familiar with it. I'm there with William though. So William's like nobody can fill his shoes, and that's kind of where I'm at too right now. It's like, yeah, that's gonna be tough, man.
Well,
Chan,
everybody said that. Everybody said that about Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal, and Mads knocked it out the park, dude, in that show.
yeah, all right. I would have. I don't know. I don't know. I just. I think I'm more upset that Blumhouse has it. Like if A24
Yeah,
Films bought the
Neon.
Saw
It should
franchise
have gone to
rights,
Neon. It
yeah,
should have gone to
Neon.
Neon or Shutter. It should have gone to
Yep.
Neon or Shutter.
I would have been
Yep.
happy with it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would have liked. And let's think about it. An A24 version of Saw might be really good. It's
Yeah,
going to be
because
a
they
little.
would dive more into the psychological aspect of it than the actual
Exactly.
just gore and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
King Matthew, I'm right there with you too. Dr. Gordon, bring him back to fill Tobin Bell's shoes. I take it. I take it. Give
Yeah,
me.
I would bring
Yep.
bring Gordon and the other dude back from Jigsaw.
hmm
Bring both of
Yep.
them back, man.
hmm
Yeah, bring both of those
hmm
dudes back.
And you know what I'm gonna say here too? So that we have a video up on the channel. Adam, the photographer. Like we debated
Hmm.
this a little bit previously. Bring him back too, because you know what? The shackles switch feet throughout the entire franchise. So I say he's alive. Explain it that way.
That's definitely not just because of plot holes
There
and
is none.
continuity errors.
Nope.
It's continuity error, man.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the same thing with Scream, though, right? Scream's continuity errors all support Stu coming back. There's no
yeah,
smart writer that was putting in those errors to say, "Oh yeah, this is meant for Stu" in every single movie.
Yeah, but I mean the
It's continuity
TV
errors.
and then the shackle thing, like that's a bit different.
Mhm.
They changed the shackle on the foot, so that means that it was a ploy.
But
hmm,
there's a photographer that's working with Jigsaw in the later films.
Okay.
That's Adam's
I mean,
job.
Amanda admitted to killing him.
hmm.
You can't kill somebody in 30 seconds under a plastic bag.
Dude, it was a sped up flashback in her own psychosis. Like, oh yeah, let's just play out the full 5 minutes of strangling this guy out with a bag. It was
Yeah.
dramatic effect.
Kristen's with us. Hey, Kristen, thanks for joining us. William,
Hey, Kristen.
Spiral 2? Spiral
You
2?
know
Come
what?
on now.
Hold on. In Williams' defense, my only issue with like I like Spiral. My only issue with Spiral was the voice of the killer, of the AI, that high pitched squeaky voice. I did not like, and yeah, it was like I figured out who it was real quick, but I didn't mind that. You know, I enjoyed the unaliving moments. I liked his character. I just didn't like the voice when he had the mask on and stuff. I was like, come on, they could have picked a better, more intimidating voice, than that.
Hmm.
But yeah.
I take offense to this comment. Amanda is still a wuss. No, no. She's the muscle. She
I
is the
actually
muscle.
like I like the Mando more than the detective.
Oh
I
yeah.
hated the
I
detective.
hated the
Yeah, I
fucking
hated the
detective.
detective.
Look, my one of my first Monster Manias
Hoffman.
that I went to, and
Hmm.
the detective was there, the actor that plays him. And I was like, nope, he scares me in real life. I ain't going up to get his autograph. Oh no,
Him and his
because he's
brother, yeah, him and his
yeah,
brother are cool though. Yeah, him and his
yeah.
brother are real cool.
He has that
Yeah,
presence, man. He has that
yeah, he does.
intimidating presence. So I was like, oh, all right. Let's switch over to our next piece of news. The Black Phone trailer is out, and I'm not playing it this time because I'm not getting demonetized again because of it.
Hmm.
But so, what does everybody think about the Black Phone 2 trailer out there? Like, we got the grabber back, which I haven't bought my masks yet. I'm
Yeah, I
kind of
still gotta get
disappointed
my
about that.
masks. Yeah.
But it looks like pretty intense here. The scene here, like in the phone booth in the snow.
Hmm.
Oh,
I haven't
that
seen
out.
the first one.
Oh, very good.
Oh, yeah, it's a good film, man.
Look at
I'm
that.
excited for it. Like I'm super excited for it, and we talked about it earlier before
Hmm.
the show started. A lot of people are complaining about the supernatural element of it, and I'm like, well, did you not pay attention to the first movie?
Hmm.
Like the supernatural element has been there the entire film.
First
So
one was
like,
meant to be supernatural.
yeah, so I was like, you just
Hmm.
got to watch the movie. And but Ethan Hawke, man, like I said, I can't speak enough on that man. That dude, he's a phenomenal actor, man. Always been a fan of him. So yeah, I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, yeah, same here. So we'll try to keep it very spoiler free, but this is like this is a fantastic year for horror if you really think about it, because we had the Black Phone that came out. There was what else? Was it
Companion.
Terrifier? Yeah, Terrifier 2 came out that same year. There was a
Oh yeah, Black Phone. Yeah.
yeah, it was
2022.
yeah, there's so many great horror films that came out. And Black Phone was one of those ones that came out and kind of really picked up steam towards it.
Yeah,
But the concept is fantastic. The acting is fantastic,
yeah,
right? When we like slasher films, right, you got to have a good mask. You have to
yep,
have good unaliving moments, which we're not going to dive
yep,
into because there's some people in the comments and Noah hasn't seen it. And then there's has to be a fantastic story, and this has it all. Like
yeah,
this is a fantastic one, and it's from Stephen
and
King's son.
Hmm.
yeah, and the kid actors were great. Like I know
Oh yeah.
the one boy is grown now. He's starring in How to Train Your Dragon and all that, so he's
Hmm.
getting work. But the little girl in that movie, she stole the show.
Yep.
She
Oh
stole
yeah,
the
she
show.
was
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
And this is one of those films that really captured like the late 70s and early 80s perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we talked about when we
Stranger
talked
danger.
exactly when we talked about the prom queen a movie. Like they didn't go into like throwing all these Easter eggs in there to tell you that it was a certain time period. They let the time period play out as a part of
Yeah.
like a character itself instead of just forcing
Yep.
it down your throat. But definitely a
Yep.
fantastic movie. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see what comments we got out there. So we got CG felt like the first movie they didn't know how good of a
How good?
character the grab. Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about
Yeah.
that. Spoiler territory.
Well,
Uh,
isn't he based off of a book? Like the movie's based off a book, isn't it?
yes. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. Let's see here. We got Kristen. Didn't even see the first yet, but I did get to watch Terrifier 3 finally. So, Kristen, what did you think of Terrifier 3? Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's see what else we got going on here. Da, dun, da.
He said they're doing Freddy Krueger right in Black Phone too. They did him right in the first one because that's pretty much what Freddy was basically. I mean, the grabber was just like Freddy. The way Wes Craven intended him to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I just really quick going to Freddy Krueger on this one too. Like the first one, fantastic. The second one, it kind of falls off, but Freddy Krueger's scary in that second Nightmare on Elm Street. And then the
Well, that's my
beginning,
favorite one because that's the darkest that he ever played the character. You know.
yep. And then the
So.
beginning of Freddy versus Jason, he starts out pretty dark too. And it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we got evil Freddy back. We got evil Freddy back when he's in the police station
Yeah.
with the little girl walking through the police station. That was fantastic. So,
Well, that's why I like, even though I wasn't a fan of the remake, I loved Jackie Earl Haley's performance as Freddy because he played him the way Robert Englund played him in the first two films, where
mhm.
he's dark, sadistic, just pure evil, and that's
Yep.
how Freddy was supposed to be. You know,
Mhm.
so he
Yep.
wasn't supposed to be likable and jokester and all of that. You know,
He was a child predator.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, more than a child
Whether
predator, but yeah, in the movie,
Mhm.
in the
whether he
movie,
was killing kids or doing other things to them beforehand,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
preying on children.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep. And then Jackie Earl Haley gets a lot of hate for that, but he wasn't that bad of a Freddy. He did a good
I
job.
didn't like that movie. It had
Yeah,
nothing to do with Jackie
No.
Earl Haley's performance.
yeah,
I
yeah.
liked his
The
performance.
movie itself was just, it was the rest of the cast that was just, it was a poor
Mhm.
film. But Jackie Earl Haley was great as Freddy to me.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. So Kristen asked the question. It's out there for sure, but didn't hate it. So she was referring to Terrifier 3. I know all of us, I think all of us, or maybe with the exception of Noah, prefer Terrifier 2 over Terrifier 3. So,
Yeah, it's just more of a story, and of course
mhm.
I'm biased because I worked on it. So like, yeah. But
Yeah.
no, overall, as far as story and what it did for the genre, the horror genre, but what it did for the horror, I mean, movie industry, period. You know, the
Mhm.
MPA took a gamble on us. We were the first unrated film released in the theater in over a decade. It brought
Mhm.
butts to seats. And now the MPA is allowing films like that, you know, because they know
Mhm.
that's what sells. You know, so
Yep.
yeah. Terrifier 2 kind of changed the game, you know.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Now, let's see here. We got William saying that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is his favorite in the entire series as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got in comments before we talk about our next piece of news here. All right. Let's go over
Yeah,
to our
King
next.
Matthew, you're right.
What this one right here? King Freddy Krueger and Nightmare 3.
Yeah,
That death. Yeah.
I did
I
like that
have.
unaliving moment.
I don't know if you can see it,
Puppet
but
Freddy.
right behind me, you see that red flash behind me there. To this side of that red flash is the puppet from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's Nightmare on Elm Street and 3 is my favorite film of the franchise. So
I highly recommend everybody to look up Wes Craven's original script for the movie. It was a totally different film,
mhm.
much darker. Yeah, it was much darker than what we got. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So our next piece of news before we jump into ranking is going to be Alien Earth also dropped their trailer. It's been a pretty busy Alien week. got a good vibe. It's got a very good vibe, and if anybody was worried about there not being aliens in this movie, we got a new alien species, and we got our xenomorphs in here too. I'm gonna skip ahead just so that I don't get nailed again.
Mhm.
But
I'm just confused because this takes place before Prometheus, and the way that Prometheus, like,
no. So here's the
No,
timeline,
it's after.
everybody. Yep. So we have Prometheus, we have Alien Covenant, we have Alien Earth, we have Alien, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, and then Alien Resurrection.
somebody said this took place beforehand. Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
we wouldn't have xenomorphs if it took place.
I know.
before
That's why I
Prometheus.
was so confused. Like, how the hell are they gonna have xenomorphs if
Mhm.
this is before Prometheus?
Yeah.
So this looks like it's going to be pretty good. So hopefully we won't have to wait until like the end of the series to see xenomorphs. But I kind of get that vibe from watching the trailer for this that we're going to have to wait to see them
Yeah,
towards the end.
it's like the Monarch show saying, "Oh, Godzilla's gonna be in it," and he was only in it for like a very brief time. Like he was in it in like I think like maybe episode 3 or 4, and then he was in the final episode for a fight scene, but he's barely in it.
Mhm.
It's always like that. They get the big characters that are gonna barely show up, and it's a little cameo.
Mhm.
Tony Stark and Spider-Man.
Yep.
Mhm.
So CG says it's a good trailer. Loves the look of it. Me too. What always gets me with the Alien films is the sound at the end when they actually start
Mhm.
playing this. Yep. Yeah, that always brings me into it. But also on top of that trailer, which I'm excited to see the series. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to watch it. Is Alien Romulus 2 got greenlit?
Yeah.
So that's
And
good news.
I'm sold on the series because Timothy Olyphant is in it, man. He's one of my favorite actors. So
Hmm.
you know,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Anything that Timothy Olyphant does now is pretty much gold. Whether it's
yep,
comedy, action, horror, anything he
yep,
touches is fantastic.
yep.
All right, so William Watson's got out there. I need a new Alien versus Predator movie.
So the rumor is they're setting that up actually now that the rights have reverted, and I know the guy who did Prey and stuff in the new Alien animated film is working on that, on trying to bridge the gap of bringing the aliens and Predator back
Doesn't
together.
the new Predator
Yeah,
movie have synthetics in it?
yeah,
Supposedly, yeah.
yeah. That's
Hmm.
how I say. Yeah, he's setting it. Yeah, he's setting it up for them to cross over again.
Yep, I will take that over seeing the tease of Aliens versus the aliens from Independence Day. Just leave the skull in there. I don't need to see that movie. But
Yeah,
I do need to see a good Alien versus Predator movie with the hard R and not hidden in the darkness. Like,
yeah.
that was like our first show that we did for the Howling Hours where we ranked the franchise. And AVP Requiem, it was just a bad movie. Very bad movie.
The most brightly lit scene was the scene with the in the pregnancy ward, and that was the worst fucking scene in the movie, other
Yeah.
than every other part of the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be nice to see that. But right now, for those that have Hulu, Killer of Killers is out, so we have the new Predator
It's
animated series
so
that's out there.
good.
Hmm.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Yep. We open up, and you will get it. You get hooked on it right in the beginning because it's Vikings versus the
Hmm.
Predator, and that opening scene with it's like, man, if they could do a whole movie just on this Viking sequence that they laid out. So
Yep.
I enjoyed it. It was fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that one.
And the animation is awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It looks like
Yeah.
Arcane. So if anybody's seen Arcane,
Hmm.
it's got that type of Arcane type of stuff. All right, guys, it's ranking time. So let's take a look at the drinking game rules for ranking. If someone changes their ranking mid discussion, you take a drink. If a disagreement breaks out over a ranking placement, we take a drink. If someone forgets a character in a film or hasn't seen the film, we take a drink. I think we're all good for that one. If a character is referred to by the actor's real name instead of their film name, we take a drink. And if somebody gets so frustrated that they stand up and leave the frame, they take a drink. Now, I'll tell you this: I think this may be fun to do when it comes to like talking about Marvel movies or something like that, because I think that'll be pretty decent to do with Danny here, and his take on things here when it comes to that. So let's get out of this here. Why can't I? Man, StreamYard is making so many changes lately that it makes it just hard to move around and get this stuff off the screen. So let me go here. What is going on with this? I'm
Don't
gonna
worry,
have to.
guys. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, I know. Look, my option to remove it is gone. I can only delete it, which is not what I want to do. I'm going to have to delete it, I guess. There we go. I have to delete it. It gave me no option to remove it. I don't know why I did that this time, but
No choice.
all right. So we got CG going. Hey, here we go. I got vodka called. I got my
I have water.
I got tequila.
Alrighty, so let me pour this glass here. We'll pull it up on the screen in a second. I don't expect that many.
Oh, you know what?
What?
You know what we forgot to mention before we go into the ranking, since we were talking about Terrifier earlier. Everybody that does not know, if you have a PlayStation or Xbox or Steam, the Terrifier side-scrolling arcade game demo is out right now. You could play the first couple arcade levels, and the playable characters are Art and a little pale girl. On launch, it looks like you could be Victoria and Chris Jericho's character. It's a fun game. It's just dumb fun, kind of like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles side-scrolling arcade game and Double Dragon, back those type of games. So I definitely say check it out. You know, it's fun to play. Because there's no official date on the release of the actual full game, but yeah, it's coming this year. So
Now, from what I heard, is that it's released on Steam and PlayStation at the moment, and then it's coming to Xbox and Switch very shortly, but no date on when that's going to be available on those two platforms.
Oh, I thought
Remember,
the
you get it
demo
on
was
Switch.
on
You
Xbox
don't
too.
technically own it.
Okay.
Well, that's if it comes out on Switch too, right? So
That's true. Oh, also, I think that's only for first-party games. I think third-party games might be different.
All right, we ain't going to get into that debate there, my friend. All right,
That's
let's
not a
take a
debate,
look
that's just a
here.
fact.
So this is very interesting when we talk about 28 days and 28 weeks later, right? So we could throw all of the zombie or infected, unaliving moments into this, but yeah, you know what? We've seen that in various movies and stuff like that. So if there were notable infected, uh, unaliving moments, like the father in the second film or the little boy in the gas station or convenience store, then we'll include that in there. Otherwise, the average run-of-the-mill ones, nah, we're not going to have that in there. And a lot of the attacks that we would see on people, they're standard attacks. So I think they will all kind of just be like the meh type of deal. But so we're gonna talk about the notable human unaliving or infected moments, and then we're gonna talk about some of the notable infected unaliving moments that happen. And we're gonna start with number one. So Marcus, you'll get to go number one because to where you're placed on my screen, and we're starting right at the beginning of 28 days later, and that is with the activist and the scientist in the lab that kicks off the whole entire thing. So, where do you gonna drop this one at?
The entire sequence, I would say perfection, because it just set the tone of the entire film. Because they gave the breakdown of what the rage virus was. You saw the standpoint of the activists and why they were doing what they were doing. So they laid all the cards out on the table and just set the entire tone of the movie. And then seeing how quickly the rage virus reacts in, you know, the human system, and they start spewing blood and bleeding from the eyes, man. It was so visceral. It was pure perfection for me, that whole entire opening scene.
Okay, all right. So you got that as perfection there. All right, fantastic. No, how about you? So we got the scene that
Yeah,
kicks it all off.
we could just keep it there. I think that's it's a pretty good point. I mean, like, it also is. It seems very realistic too. Like in something to happen in the real world is like people going in and, you know, messing with stuff. You know, like scientists messing with the laws of nature, and activists not listening to that scientist when he says that's a bad idea. You shouldn't open that.
Yep.
You know, it all seems very realistic, and the idea that we are weaponizing basically rabies, because that's what it seems like. It's a weaponization of rabies to try and make like dead-minded soldiers if we like captured them or whatever, like from the other side, because that's how I would take it. Like that's what they would do. It seems like something that any country would want to do for as a part of chemical warfare. Like if you drop that and like spray it down as a mist as you're flying by in a plane and you just start seeing people attack each other, that's crazy.
Reminds me of Vietnam, what they used to do with the Vietnamese when they would spray the chemicals.
The Agent Orange and whatnot.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I am. I wouldn't have this at perfection. I would have this at almost iconic, and we'll talk about some of the perfection scenes that we're going to have a little bit later. But it's a very good scene. It sets the tone, like you both are saying, for the entire franchise that we have. It's very realistic. In fact, towards the end of the pandemic, there was actually out here in Pennsylvania, there was actually an accident that happened where monkeys from a laboratory escaped. It's like, oh my god!
Right, yeah, I forgot about that.
Right? Yeah, it's like we have murder hornets, now we have escaped monkeys. Yeah. So.
Oh boy, that would have been scary if I would have heard that. I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah. So
let me go stock up on some weapons.
The news, like, oh, nice, that's cool.
Yeah, what I like about it is the scene is. Well, even the whole first movie has like a darker tone to it, and also the scene's very dark too. But I could see this happening in real life, so that's what makes it very frightening. Is that it could happen. So,
but what was so twisted about it was like the scientists saying, like, the reason why they created the rage virus was they were trying to tap in and understand what triggers people, what makes them so violent and stuff. So like you said, scientists trying to play God and try to figure stuff out instead of letting just life be what it is, creating that, it just, man, it was on a whole nother level, but very believable, very believable.
Yeah.
Because like I got a friend that works for the CDC.
You got a friend
yeah. I have a friend that works for the CDC, and of course he can't disclose stuff, being classified and stuff. But I was like, man, I could only imagine, because he's a microbiologist. I was like, I could only imagine the stuff that they see in those labs, man. Like, seriously.
Get him on one of these podcasts. Get him on one of these ranking podcasts.
Oh my god! We'll get him on the podcast. We'll get our other friend that's in the military that flies for the Air Force on and try to probe their secrets out, because they both know things. And they
remember, this is a drinking game. This is a drinking game. Get them raged up enough to be great. Get all the secrets. Get all the secrets.
Try to get our one friend to talk about the UFOs that have turned up on military cameras and stuff like that.
You thought this is a horror podcast? Now we're probing the government now. As a joke. This is entirely a joke.
Yeah, somebody's listening out there, so forget that.
The FBI is here. Just a joke.
All right, so we're moving on. Noah, our second scene is Mark. So Mark is one of the people that helped Jim escape and was working with Selena. And Selena, smart-ass character. We're going to talk about characters next week. But so Mark is he gets hacked to pieces by Selena because he got scratched. Where do you have his unaliving moment at?
So first thing I got to say, that picture really looks like James Marsden for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if anybody else got that vibe. To me, it looks kind of like James Marsden, but I'll probably put it at almost iconic, because when you see a scene like this where like a character is brutalizing another character in that way, it's typically not the protagonist. So it's a nice element of showing like you got to do what you got to do in this world, or we're all gonna die. So I won't put it at perfection, but it's definitely interesting to see, like, you have like, all right, well, yeah, I get it. It's like 10 to 20 seconds and you're turning, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Much like or much unlike The Walking Dead, where there's like, oh my god, let's chop off his arm, let's try to figure out something to make this right. Selena just goes to town, like no second thoughts. She just goes to town on this guy, and I'm gonna agree, almost iconic there too. Marcus, what about you?
Same, almost iconic. Because again, like Selena was just like, I ain't taking no chances. I don't care if we're friends. Like, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. She was like, it's not worth my life. Yep. So
Yep. All right. So that leaves me with the kid in the gas station, and I'm going to have it at lots of potential. I'm on the fence between Met and lots of potential because they wanted to go there with the scene where the kid attacks Jim and Jim finally gets some gonads to do something in the film, and they should have showed it on screen. They should
Yeah.
have just pushed the envelope a little bit, or they should have made the kid maybe a little bit more sympathetic. So I,
well,
I,
they they did
go
something
ahead.
in the scene, but I'll say it when it's my turn.
All right, I'm gonna drop it down to meh, and here's why I'm gonna drop it down to meh. Right, I'm thinking of The Walking Dead episode 1 with the little girl with the teddy bear.
Hmm.
Very heartbreaking, tugs on your strings there, and I thought that had more impact on there. And then I'm also thinking about the 30 Days of Night, the little girl in the convenience store as well. Again,
Hmm.
another better scene of this one. So I'm gonna have this one as meh. I just think they didn't get a chance to pull the trigger off on this
Yeah,
one.
I mean,
But
come on, guys, what are we doing? Let's just kill some kids on screen. Like, what?
yeah,
Like, why are we pussying out?
yep,
Let's just bite the bullet. Look at the flowers, Lizzie. Like, come on.
yep, exactly,
They
exactly.
didn't
So
show that.
Marcus,
They didn't show that on. Well, I guess they kind of did a little bit.
all right, Marcus. Before I come off the screen here, so I gotta admit where you got it at.
So I have it at lots of potential because what a lot of people didn't catch in this scene was this was the moment that you realize that they weren't zombies, that they're still very much alive because you actually hear the boy speak. So when Jim is holding the bat over his head and he's holding him down with his foot, you hear the kid yell at him, "I hate you." You actually hear it.
Mm,
If you go back and watch the scene, you hear the kid speak and say, "I hate you," right before
mm.
Jim hits him with the bat. So that's how you know that they're still very much alive. Yep.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Now I would have to go back and watch that, and that would possibly change my rating on this.
Hmm.
No, how about you? So,
I'll put it at lots of potential as of right
okay.
now, but I am interested to see that part of the scene now. Hmm. That is interesting. That's intriguing. I didn't catch
Let's
that.
let's see here.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Whenever
Uh,
you play a video, your audio doesn't play, just so you're aware.
yeah.
kid scene. Well, I can fix that. I just have to pull this tab out. Let's see. Kid scene. Kid scene. Kid scene.
I
Kid
will put
scene.
Gas
hamburger
station.
scene or something like that. Yeah, gas station or hamburger scene.
Gas
Yeah.
station. Oh yeah, because he was. Nope, that's the hallways. Let's try hamburger scene here.
Hamburger.
Oh, it was a cheeseburger. I can't remember what Jim said.
You think they would pull up on the little boy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You think that's where maybe it's car problem scene? I don't think so, but let me see
Nah.
here.
No, it's when they're fixing it in the yeah.
Yeah, all right. All right. Well, I won't be able to find that, but yeah, okay. I like that. I'll have to check that out later. But I'm gonna leave it at
Hmm.
Matt just because of the other two scenes that I'm comparing it against. I thought those were better done. But oh man,
Hmm.
that does. Look, um, we got Shannon saying the same thing. What? I have to watch that again. Let me try one more time. Let me just try one more time. 28
One
days
more
later.
time.
Uh, Selena explains about how the outbreak happened. No.
Oh yeah, that's the Mark scene. That's Mark scene.
Yeah, let me see here. If I go into this here, usually movie clips will have a bunch of related scenes in here. Let's go to movie clips. 28 days later. And I really don't have to download this movie right now to see the scene because I'm very, very curious. 4 of 5 is the third scene. 3 of 5 is changing the tire. Where's 4 of 5?
Or you could say Jim takes out little kid or something like that.
Man, I'll type in that next, and then I'm gonna have to give up after this one because I
Mhm.
don't see the 28 days later 4 of 5 scene in there. That's probably where it's at. 3 of 5, 2 of 5. Oh no, yeah, darn it, that stinks. All right, 28 days later, Jim kills boy. Let's see.
That's not it either. That's the
Nope,
ending.
that's the ending. Yep. Alrighty, so I guess nobody has clipped that scene, so maybe a lot of people have kind of missed that. So, interesting, very interesting. Okay, so Marcus, that brings us to Frank. He gets infected by a crow, and then he tries to spare his daughter's life because he knows what's about to happen, and then the military show up and do their thing.
Oh man, it's almost iconic for me. I want to put it at you know what? I'm gonna put it at perfection, man, because it tug at my heartstrings.
Mhm,
Like Frank was such a lovable character. He was that fatherly figure. I'm a
mhm.
big Brendan Gleeson fan since Braveheart and other movies. But the fact that again he was trying to protect Hannah, he was trying to protect Jim, and like even becoming like a father figure to Jim throughout the movie. Dude, I just hate that he got it, but I know it had to happen to drive the story forward. And
Mhm.
the acting in that scene, man, the way he started twitching and going crazy and the rage virus taking over, and the music, it was perfection for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. The music that
Yeah.
kind of is inspired the Walking Dead music is in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Before we get Noah's ranking on this, I have to tell you the character dynamic in this film with Frank, his daughter, Jim, and Selena, fantastic. Like that, they carry that first hour of that movie and just story.
Hmm.
It's great.
Yep.
All right, so Noah, where you got this at?
I will also put it at perfection, and I get what you mean by the like for driving the story purpose as well. But I like just solely based off the fact that like it really hurt to watch that scene. Like I was like,
Yeah,
I
man.
know they're gonna, I know what's about to happen. I know they're gonna do it. Son of a bitch. And then they
Hmm.
did it, and they did not hold back. They did not hold back at
Hmm.
all. But I
Nope.
also like for the story progression, like it wouldn't have made sense if he was in the military compound, especially with what happened and like what the soldiers were
Oh yeah,
planning. Like it really just wouldn't have. I don't think it would have worked as well. It would have been much more fun
Right.
to see the rampage of those two, but I think that yeah, you're right. It wouldn't have worked. Like from the get go, I don't think it would have worked though, because he would have been like, yeah, you guys are weird. I don't want my daughter in the
Hmm.
situation. We're heading out
hmm
now.
yeah.
They would have had to take him out, to do what they wanted to do. So yeah.
Yeah,
Well, let's think about that.
with how much they shot him.
No, no. He goes back to the compound with everybody,
Yeah.
and he discovers what they're going to do, and they execute him in front of all three of them. It's Negan style. It's Negan style
Yeah.
before we actually get Negan in The Walking Dead, and I think that would have hit maybe a
Well,
little
I
bit
mean,
harder.
also think about what this inspired for The Walking Dead with Rick waking up in the hospital as well.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
I have to disagree with both of you here. It is not perfection because there's going to be two scenes that we're talking about that are far better than this one, and so I'm going to argue this one later when it comes to putting these in
Actually,
order.
I think I know which one you might be talking about, so I'll bump mine down to almost iconic.
You got all right. That means drink time.
I
All
only have
right,
water.
Hmm.
so that's fine. Drink water. Somebody here has Welch's. I don't care. Just drink what you're drinking, man.
Someone here's
Safe
Welch's. Who
drinking.
has
So
Welch's?
look, yep, it's
That's
going to
cool.
be almost iconic for me as well because there are some better
Hmm.
scenes, and I'm going to take a drink to that because yeah, it did tug on. Oh man, that one got me hard. um, it did tug on the heartstrings, like Marcus was saying. I really didn't. It was a what happened to this character is like, oh no, and he still had the right mind to try to still make things better for his daughter and the whole thing. And I love the character; it's a fantastic character. So I'll
Yeah.
be excited to rank him the next time around.
Yeah.
All right, so we got almost
He's
iconic.
definitely one
So
of my top in the franchise.
yep, Definitely, I agree. So it's going to be interesting to see where everybody ranks, especially where some of the assholes rank. Were they gonna Are they
Yeah,
gonna rank low because they were assholes, or are they gonna rank high because they really pulled that off? All right,
high because
so
they pulled it. They were good villains.
yep. All right, so
Yeah.
now we got Sergeant Farrell. Sergeant Farrell is one of the guys that was with the military at the compound, and then he was taken out with Jim to be executed. So, no, where you
Mhm.
got this guy at?
I mean, we could put it at lots of potential. I'm not gonna put it at Meh because he definitely didn't deserve to go out. He was smart, like he was the conspiracy nut, but he was smart. He was right.
Yep.
It was only the UK that was infected, and that was confirmed in 28 weeks later. Um, and also by the SOS, people like they saw the planes and helicopters coming by at the end, so like that's confirming that it wasn't just like the world wasn't falling apart. And he didn't deserve to die. He was because he was a good dude. Um, I think it's weird to say, but I think I maybe would have rathered the brutality of him being stabbed with the bayonet, like to really show the derailment of some of these people. Although I will say I do also enjoy the one guy, like the one guy that they were showing had a little bit more humanity than the rest of them, even though he was still an asshole. Like he still cared, I guess, a little bit more about people in the end. At the end of the day, which is why he shot him. But
Yep.
that's why I put it at lots of potential because I think in a movie that was very brutal throughout this entire, like throughout all of it, I think that they could have gone that route and continued to just little poke.
And for that reason, I'm going to say it is meh because I think it's something that they could have again. They could have pulled the trigger on a little bit more. It could have been not as subdued, right? Where they just the reasoning behind where they took them in the film is like, oh, okay, but no. If I want to have a power play, and I'm gonna do it in front of people to make sure people know they understand, like, hey, we mean business. Like, don't get out of line or this is going to happen to you. We don't need any secrets and whispers of why people disappear. Let's make sure people understand why this is happening. So that's why I got it at meh. Marcus, you're going to be the tiebreaker on this one. So lots of potential on meh.
I got lots of potential too because I got the
Okay.
same agreements with Noah. Like he was an important character. Like he was the one that figured everything out, and then he still held on to his humanity. Like he went against the grain and was like, it's not right what they wanted to do. Granted, I wish they would have, like you said, done something more with how they took him out to make a point. But in a sense, I kind of get why they didn't because you got a sense that they already done that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like it kind of set up that like they've been doing this for a while, or at least for the amount of time that the infection happened, so yeah, I got to add lots of potential. It could have been more to it, but I was okay with it, So
All right, all
yeah.
right. So that's where it sits. I'm gonna be the grumpy guy today because the next one is the compound attack. So the compound attack does not include Jim's attack, and it does not include Mailer's attack. So this is just the attack on everybody else there that deserved to get it. I'm going to say that this also has lots of potential because I thought that there could
Yeah.
have been some better scenes in this. The way it was done, everything was fast paced. Everybody got what they deserved. I was happy for everybody getting what they deserved, but I think there could have been some more over the top scenes in this whole entire sequence towards the third act where Compound was good. The scenes that we're going to talk about next were even better and they stand out for a reason. So I was like, all right, I would have preferred to see everybody get their just due a little bit more than what we saw. Marcus, what's your thoughts about the compound scene?
I'm the same. It's lots of potential. Again, I wish it was a little bit more justice. But one of my favorite moments was during the scene where the two soldiers first come back to the house and they were wondering like where everybody is at, and you see the one dude running across the frame screaming, and then they
Yep.
see the infected running behind them. I love that scene so much because of the way it was framed, and it was just funny and unexpected. So yeah, definitely lots of potential.
Yep. There's a scene that we're going to talk about in 28 Weeks Later was similar to this one, which I thought was actually done a little bit better. But Noah, where do you have this compound scene at?
I'll probably keep it at lots of potential. I think also it was really dark too, which kind of
Mhm.
sucks. I mean, there were some scenes where you had some light in it, but I would have liked to have seen more of the overwhelmment of it. And also there was more traps in the yard that we did like. I would have loved to have seen more of the raid,
Mhm.
like the zombies just running it, like just sprinting in, hitting the mines and exploding everywhere. Like that would have been so much fun to see. So
Yeah.
but
Well,
lots of potential. Had an
I
opportunity.
I will say this: if you want to see people go pop, then you want to see Ballerina because lots of people burst in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, they
god!
do. Yeah,
Like
they
a
do.
little blood pack. Boom. Oh,
Yeah,
anyway.
they do.
So okay, so we all got that up, meh. But that brings us, Marcus, to one of the bigger scenes that I was kind of referring to before. We have Jim going after Corporal Mitchell. Man, he's banging his head against the floor. He goes full on rage here.
Perfection, bro. Perfection,
Yeah.
perfection, perfection, man. Because one, like, even though us as an audience knew Jim wasn't bitten, everybody else in the scene, Selena, Hannah, the corporal, everything
Mhm.
thought so because of the way he was breathing. He was
Mhm.
all bloodied. You know, he was shirtless. The way he dropped down from the roof, from the window, was like somebody like infected. Like that
Mhm.
whole scene was just brutal, man.
Mhm.
And I remember being in the theater just clapping. I was like, get his ass, get his ass. Like,
Yep.
yeah, man. Like Killian Murphy crushed it in that scene for real.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, where you got this one at?
Yeah, I was because I was thinking the same thing. It's like it's like, is he gonna get got? It's because Selena, she don't hesitate. Like she goes right for
Mm-hmm.
it. And
Mhm.
also,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta like shout out Jim as well for instead of choking the guy out, going for his eyes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go for the eyes. It's quicker.
Yeah.
So like he
Yep.
did, he's doing all the right steps. He took all the right steps, and it was an intense scene, not just because of that, but because of the idea that Selena might accidentally kill Jim, and Jim is not dead.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the
I agree
music
with.
again, the music and the heartbeat
Yeah.
in the house.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So I agree with everything that you both have said. That scene is definitely perfection. Jim going off, finally snapping, his character arc finally hits, and we get the payoff on it. And it's a perfect payoff with the worst antagonist in the entire film. So I
Mm-hmm.
love seeing him go off on this one. All right, so that brings us to Mailer or Corporal or Private Mailer going after Major Henry West and beating him and eating him. So Noah, where do you got this one at?
Um, I'll, I'm not sure honestly because it was really funny because the one of his comrades that turned that he imprisoned got out and took him out, which I think was really funny.
Hmm.
But I mean, it was an okay scene. He could have gotten a lot worse, and I feel like he deserved a lot worse.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you could throw right in lots of potential because it was also very fast paced, and also I like the idea that Hannah's just like this Tokyo Drift style driver who
Hmm.
really just knows how to
Yeah.
tear up the track, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she really just threw it into gear and was like, all right, and got him out of there. But I think we could have gotten a little bit more out of that scene.
Yeah, I have to agree. Mailer as a infected zombie, fantastic. Loved it. Standout character in the film. Didn't like what they were doing with him. Didn't like some of the symbolism behind it. But the
Yeah.
payoff for this one was not like Jim's. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It had potential to be a lot bigger than what it was, and that's why I agree. It's lots of potential for me as well. Marcus.
Same. Lots of potential, man. Because Miller to me again was another uh evidence of the intelligence that they still had. You know,
Hmm.
still being even though they're infected, he still had intelligence.
Yep.
And so again, I wanted the major to get taken out, you know, a lot better.
Hmm.
But yeah, it definitely had lots of potential, and I'm glad it was at the hands of Miller. So yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. All right. So that wraps us up on 28 days later right now. So let's take a look. So we have two imperfection. We have the opening scene with the activist and the scientist. We have Jim going ballistic on Corporal Mitchell in perfections. Then we have Mark getting hacked by Celine, and then we have Frank, the dad, and his scene because it was an emotional hit to everybody. We have the little boy in the gas station that could possibly move up to almost iconic. We just couldn't find the scene where he's actually yelling out "I hate you." None of us seem to remember it. And Marcus was right. If that's in there, then we've missed it. We have one of the sergeants in there getting off execution style in the woods. We have the compound, and then we have Mailer taking out the Major Henry West. So that brings us to 28 weeks later. And let's see here. Wait, who went last? Did I go last?
I have
No,
no
you
idea.
went last, right? All right. So we have before we get to the farmhouse, we have Karen. Karen gets grabbed through the window and is turned
That
into the
dumb
infected.
bitch.
Yeah, I'm throwing her right to meth. That'll be the first
Yep.
meth for me. So
You might as well leave it there because that's my answer too.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. It was just a poorly done scene. Noah, how about you?
Yeah, I'll leave it. I'll leave it at Matt because, I mean, she just got ripped through a window. That's it.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah. I hated her character, period, because I know she served her purpose as being the one like panicking and concerned and crying and stuff, but everybody was like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like for real, like
I mean, the kid was quieter.
You know?
The kid was quieter.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Let's be very clear about something. There was a child there, and the child was quieter.
Yeah, like she
Now,
was just
granted,
annoying
I don't
as
think
hell.
I don't think I would have let the I don't know if I would have let the cat in with this type of zombie infection, but I would
No.
have to see in the moment. I might be too like, it's a kid, fuck, and just open the door and then get everyone
Yeah.
killed on accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that we've seen better window scenes in Night of the Living Dead and Shaun of the Dead. So like seeing
Shaun of
this
the
one,
Dead had a
like,
great window scene.
yeah, this
Also
was like,
Walking Dead with the revolving doors with the
with Noah,
Yep.
yeah, character Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, oh my god, that was a heart wrenching moment too. That
Yeah.
scene in The
Yeah. It
Walking Dead.
was.
All right, so we all agree on that one. We all want to just get past that one, but now that brings us to the farmhouse falling.
That whole
Marcus.
sequence, man. That whole sequence.
That was a really good sequence.
I'll definitely put it at almost iconic, man, because that it's just hard to say perfection, because you really didn't get attached to any other characters, really, because we didn't have that much time with them. But it was so tense. The entire sequence was just so tense, man. So yeah, I definitely put it at almost iconic.
All right, Noah, how about you?
I'm also gonna put it almost iconic because there is one scene that is clearly perfection for me based off how uncomfortable it made me. I'll put it because also like Marcus is right, didn't really have time to care for many of the characters, and a lot of them were acting kind of douchey. Like obviously they had there was legitimate reasons why, but like it's hard to get invested in characters that don't act likable from the get go. The old people, I feel bad for them. They really were like meant for each other. So sad. And then the husband just like looking at the wife, like, and all that time that you just stood there not doing anything. You could have helped or just gotten away faster. Like don't hesitate and be a bitch. Like commit to helping her or commit to running away. Like I'm sorry.
So this one's weird for me, right?
Because also, how did she get out? How did she escape? Like the rage virus people, like even if though she was infected, they still went after her even after she was bit. So I don't understand how she was escaped without being maimed to death.
I think that's like World War Z logic, where the infection it goes through her veins really quickly, and the other ones are like, nope, she's one of us. So I think they kind of
that's not true because she was attacked by
her
infected.
husband. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
true.
Yeah, so they didn't quite explain it. But if I'm not mistaken,
like she would have had to like dive bomb out the second story window and let the kid die. Like that would be my only assumption there.
If I'm not mistaken, though, she was bitten multiple times though, because she had bite marks when they got her. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Oh, was there? Okay, I remember showing the one.
Now, so here's the weird thing with me with this one, right? So I like this opening scene better than the 28 days later scene because it's more intense. It throws you in. It gets your nerves racked because of everything that's going on, and then the husband leaving the wife. That's like when that happens, like, damn, like this is there's no sympathy or anything for any characters. Like we're going in and we're going full in. But I think to what your point is, right, to both of your point, if we took this scene and we got to know these characters and had this be at the ending of a movie with characters that were
Mhm.
established. Does that make this a perfect scene?
Yes.
Just
It'd be
wipe
perfect
everybody
setting.
out.
It'd be perfect scene to build up to the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
All
he's
right.
like, oh,
If
the
we
end
had a
credit,
little
like,
bit more
and the
time.
ending of the scene 28 weeks later, and then it shows these guys and like where they're at now, and then that's how you kick off the next movie afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm good with that. All right. So speaking of our mom to be in there, so we have Alice, who has been discovered, found, and brought back, and she is thrown on the table where her husband goes to town on her. So where do we think this one falls, Noah?
I'll put it at man. I
Really?
Man.
I
Really?
Wow.
I
That's
like
a
the
Wow.
drink,
idea of
man.
bringing the character back, and then
I
they
gotta
just
take a drink on that
and
one.
then they just killed her like instantly. And it seemed like it was a scene that was just meant to be there, to be there, to be. Oh,
What?
the symbolism was like, oh, he left her, she forgave him, they kissed, and then he kills her and betrays her again. Like, I get it. I just think it was kind of stupid.
I don't think she forgave him. She was strapped down. She had no choice. She had to take the kiss.
She
Mhm.
said that she forgave him, and then said that she loved him.
Ugh.
She literally said that.
I blacked that out because having seen this scene multiple times, I don't think this is mad. I think it's absolutely brutal. It's almost up there with like the Frank type of unaliving
Yeah.
in this.
I'm not
Yeah.
listen. The brutality of it, like, that's great. I'm just saying the build up to the scene itself and the scene itself paying like its payoff.
All right. All right.
I gotta
Go ahead,
disagree,
Marcus.
nephew, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got it at perfection. I got it at perfection because of the
Wow.
fact that
Perfection. All
yeah,
right.
because of the fact that the buildup of it, where when she was there, the way she was looking at him, you could tell that she didn't. I mean, she was angry, she was livid, but it was nothing that she could do. And her whole thing saying that she forgave him and loved him. I mean, dude, they were married, they got 2 kids together. So you got to look at it from that point of view as a parent, as a
I'm
wife,
sorry.
where
I'm
she's
sorry.
like,
As a wife being left to be ripped apart, I don't think that I'm married
but
with
no,
kids. I'm just gonna. That's
no,
a
I think she
stretch.
was doing it. I think she was doing it for the sake of the fact that she just realized, like, hey, her kids are safe, they're still alive. So she has an opportunity to, have a life with them and everything. I think it was more so of that, not so much of her just like brushing off and forgiving him, like, oh, everything is gonna be all hunky dory. I never got that
And,
sense from her.
and then another thing, there's
Uh,
nobody there guarding her. Nobody. Like, they found her out in the open, and there's no military personnel guarding that whole room too. Like, that's another thing. Nobody's there, and the custodial service.
no, they were there. They
allowed
weren't in the room. They weren't in the room, but there was a guard
There
at the
should be
door. And then
somebody
they went in the
watching that
room.
door. There should be somebody on that
It
door.
was.
She was a top secret. At this point, she was going to be experiment or execution, and she was highly secretive. She was very important. They were deciding whether to kill her or use her for a vaccine. Somebody should have been at the door armed. I know
No,
it's
I
for the
agree with
movies,
you
for
on
the
that.
progression of the,
Yeah,
it's for the
I agree
progression of
with
the
you on that.
story. It's for the progression of the story, like with the dad, but that made sense for the progression of the story. This is like, you have military personnel here, and they were like,
No, I
and
agree
then
with
the,
you on
and,
that. It should have been.
and then the
But at
dad
the
who
same
runs
time,
off and just
too,
goes, takes out all these guys with guns.
well, at the same time, too, what I love is that that was the first time that we actually learned too that it just isn't blood that infects it; it's any fluid,
Yep.
that infects them. So that's why I put it at perfection, because we learn more about the virus itself too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they
And
said
Yeah.
something
how it
about it earlier.
operates.
I have it at almost iconic, and I think we talked a great deal about this one. But yeah, I thought the scene between them, it was, and for her to like be left once, and then to have this reunion, and then just to have him just change over and then go absolutely crazy on her. She did not deserve that. She did not deserve to go
No,
out
she
that way.
didn't. Yeah,
No.
she
Yep.
didn't. But it again, that's another reason why I had it at perfection, because it was unexpected.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, and it was
Yep.
so brutal, and it tugged at the heartstrings. Like, dude, we just got her back.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I have it on almost iconic because I almost have her like we didn't get to know her like we did Frank in 28 Days Later, but it was just like, yeah,
And there
true,
was a lot of story that we missed out on
true.
too by
hmm
killing off a character that was surviving out in the wild, I guess,
hmm
after being bitten.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
what's that process? Like what's that like? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
not only did they do it once, they possibly did it twice, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen
yeah.
with the kids from the
To
movie.
Jim.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Alrighty, so no, you had that at Matt. It falls with almost iconic, of course, me and Marcus's thing here. But now we have the infected, Don breaking out and just getting everybody in the what is it, the facility? So he breaks out into the
Yeah.
facility and is turning everybody in the facility. Now I like this scene better than the compound, like I was saying. I don't have it as almost
Mm-hmm.
iconic, but I like the way the scene was shot. Again, it was intense. It was kind of like that first scene in the movie where we're seeing it from his perspective, running through the halls. So
Mm-hmm.
I have it as
Mm-hmm.
lots of potential because I thought it could have been a little bit more, it could have been done a little bit better with some better sequences shown in there. So that's why I have that one at lots of potential. Marcus, what about you?
No, I agree. I definitely have it at lots of potential because it was a great sequence. I just wish we would have got they would have pulled the camera back some where we could
hmm
actually see the carnage,
Yep.
instead of just seeing the aftermath of the carnage every time he bit somebody or
hmm
turned somebody.
Yep.
Um, well done sequence outside of the camera work, outside of the
hmm
cinematography of it. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Noah, how about you? We both got this at lots of potential.
I'm gonna put it at lots of potential too, because it is fun to just see some zombies go to town on some guys like really easily. But I mean, they're all trained military personnel. They're there for this specific task at hand, and you can't hit a shot. Like these are stormtroopers. They gotta be like because he's on the ground biting and gnawing at them
hmm
and hitting them. He's not moving. Hit him. Hit the guy, please.
Mhm.
And I will say, other than the
They were
shaky
taking them
camera,
out.
like
They were taking them out, but they just were overwhelmed by 'em.
no, but I'm talking about like the dad. Like he made it to the end of
Oh
the
yeah,
movie.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
shot.
Okay, I see what you
Nobody
mean.
hits this guy
Yeah,
in the
nobody shot him.
opening sequence
Yeah,
because like,
hmm
nobody shot
like
him.
if we're talking about the military personnel, like with the shaky camera to like show that like the heightened
Yeah.
senses are making everything extra grainy. I can see that, but camera angles are a little wonky there. But also think about it. Let's say he goes after the first military grunt right there. There's like two
hmm
or three other
Yeah.
guys with guns shooting at
Yeah.
him while he's on the ground. What are
hmm
you hitting?
Yeah.
Like my
oh my
Okay,
God.
god.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
thought you meant
right.
like the other infected too, because I was like, no, they were taking the infected out, but yeah, you talking about Don,
I
yeah.
have a gripe with the dad making it to the end of this movie,
Well,
just
we're gonna
because
stay.
like
Go
all right,
ahead.
I won't say anything now. I won't say anything now.
All right. So we're gonna stay on the dad, Marcus. We got Don going into the containment room. So he breaks into the containment room and he just goes nuts on everybody in the dark. Where you got this one?
Almost iconic, because that whole sequence was just pure carnage, man. I love it.
hmm
It was just pure, like it was dark, and then the red lights kick in, and you hear everybody screaming and yelling. And I was like, dude, could you just imagine being trapped like that?
Oh
And then
yeah.
you got the little boy crawling over everybody. Like, yeah,
hmm
that whole scene was just, it was intense as hell.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Noah, how about you?
So I will put that. I'm gonna put this at almost iconic because I also really did like this scene as well because I do like I enjoy the idea of the reality aspect where the military personnel is just bullying all of these civilians and not telling them what's
Hmm.
going on,
hmm
and of course they're also causing downfall. And I do see the panic. I see why the panic is contributing to the downfall. I do think that there should have been a little bit more sequencing where like you see other people are getting trampled by people, and
Yeah,
that's why they're
hmm
getting killed. I like
yeah.
that it was dark because that also makes sense for the scene as well. But the one thing that I like about this scene is the one thing I don't like about the previous scene, which is
Hmm.
that like you see this panic, you see that it happens, but we didn't get to see it happen. And also, these are just like regular civilians. I don't
hmm
know. It's just they pick and choose where they want to add like the important continuity for why things fall apart in society when there's something like this going on in this film, which is where I have my gripes with this film. But I really like this scene because of they really played into like, oh well, people are panicking, so there's really like you're either gonna get trampled or you're gonna get mauled to death, or you're just gonna unfortunately get spat on or blood gooshed on you and you're done for.
Oh yeah, the vomiting of blood that happens in this scene is intense. But I think like you both kind of hit the nail on the head here. So this is something that you could see playing out in society where you have people contained in a unit without them knowing why they're there, and then something like this happens where Don breaks in and then he just starts infecting everybody, and it's just pure chaos. So I like the scene because the way it was shot, it was meant to be in the dark. I think they pulled it off very nicely. So it is that almost iconic. I think, Noah, to your point, if they would have shown people getting trampled and maybe smashed up against the doors and stuff like that in true chaos mode, I think that moves this up to perfection. But
if it happens at Black Friday, it's going to happen during a zombie outbreak. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So not planned. We go from containment to extermination. So the military received the orders. They can't tell who is who that is escaping the facility, and they are just told to wipe out everything that is moving. So, Noah, where do you have this?
So this scene I have at perfection.
Okay.
I put this scene at perfection because this is the scene that almost made me turn the movie off. Because this is like, even like thinking about it in like real world military situations where you have targets that are like, oh, well, we don't know if this individual is a hostile threat or not based off of, how they look or whatever in real world situations. And then also knowing that in a zombie situation, this is something that would absolutely happen. You could absolutely see this happening where it's like, just unload on them. It's like, well, there's people down there. It's like, it's either that or you let them you let them out, and it didn't even work because they still got overrun. But like, very intense scene because like they didn't hold back. They showed like someone getting his arm, like a non-zombie getting his arm shot off. Somebody got a hole bursted into his chest. Like they were really playing into this scene as well, and they played into a lot of other scenes like it as well. But this scene really was like, woo, that's a bit intense there.
Well, I'll ask this question to you because I think this is up in perfection as well, because this is something that would happen. This is collateral damage, right? If you each were given the opportunity to make the call, are you opening fire on everybody, or are you just like saying, all right, just try to figure out who's who and try to shoot?
I think at that point you don't have a choice, man, because it grew out of control in the moment.
Well, that's where you see the one I'm gonna say Jeremy Renner, so I'm gonna have to, because I don't remember his name. It might be Ethan. But he decides not to fire because when he was initially firing on them, and then he saw what happened to his one friend getting overrun, then he's like, I don't know who to shoot, because now he's putting his own emotions into that bullet. So I would like to say, looking at all the facts, it didn't work. It didn't help anyways, because they still got through, and they made it to Paris. So, looking at the movie and seeing how it worked, no. But in the moment, I don't know. If I had to make that call, I would like to say hopefully not. But also I don't know, because who knows what would happen in a real world situation.
Yeah, I think the failed extermination happened because they waited too long to make that decision.
Yeah.
So if they would have, as people started coming out, and as soon as they started getting reports like, hey, we don't know who's, that's where you got to make that hard decision where it's like, all right, take them all down. And then you don't risk anybody getting past that wall of bullets. So it's definitely a scene that is perfect. It's definitely something that would happen. And we've heard stories of collateral damage conspiracies in the world. So this is something that would happen. So I'm there with you, Noah. I think this is perfection. Marcus, how about you?
I got it at perfection too, because what we also saw in the entire sequence was the state of mind of the snipers. because
Yeah.
like Noah brought up, like, Jeremy Renner putting his emotions into the bullet, but then
Mhm.
you also had that one sniper who was enjoying
Yeah.
killing people.
Yep.
Like he
Yep.
was enjoying it, like he was getting off on it.
Mhm.
So it was like you saw the state of mind of every sniper in a sense where you're like, wow, some of them are really just bloodthirsty, some of them really have, human emotions, like, so that's realistic, to me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then it was a good build up to the scene too of the snipers themselves when we had the earlier scene where they were like spying on people in their apartments and stuff. So they
Mhm.
had that camaraderie of what was going to end up happening eventually, so yeah, man, perfect scene for me.
All right. All right. So we're going into the helicopter lawnmower or infected mower scene. You know what? I'm going to put this in as meh. You know why I'm going to put this in meh is because this is your popcorn moment, the fun
Yeah.
popcorn moment that you get that has like, oh man, can you believe what they're doing? This is like a Sharknado type of moment where you're taking a helicopter, mowing down a bunch of people. Could that happen in real life with a helicopter? I don't know. You got maybe if you're a really good pilot, you can hold the helicopter like that and do that. But I thought it's like it happens and then it's forgettable compared to all the other scenes that we kind of talked about in the first two films. So it's it doesn't seem like it fits the movie. So that's why I have it as bad. It doesn't fit the entire tone of the two movies, and I don't think it's gonna fit when we look at 28 years later when we get to see that. This is more like sci-fi channel type of on a slaughter happening here. So that's why I have that at meh. But Marcus, where do you have that?
I gotta admit as well because
Okay.
of the fact that knowing that you cannot hold a helicopter that low in altitude, doing that, it would stall on you
Mhm.
like that, especially at that angle. And again, like you said, it was just for the popcorn moment.
Mhm.
Um, Even though I love Hero Parano in the scene,
Mhm.
it was just it didn't fit. It didn't fit the tone of the movie,
Mhm.
like you said. So
Yep.
yeah.
No. No. How about you?
I'm actually gonna put it at a fucking joke.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And
Okay.
I'm gonna put it at a fucking joke just because it actually, like, I actually laughed when I saw it happen because I'm like, what the fuck, like, this is because it's not how helicopters work, like, and to
Yeah.
further add to your point, like, the not even just low altitude thing, like, you will fuck up those propellers, like,
Yep.
they are not meant to do that,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
maybe one human, but you are gonna destroy those propellers and crash. Like, that's what I thought was gonna happen. His
Yeah. You
helicopter
blow the
being
rotor.
a-okay, like, yeah, his helicopter being a-okay, like, it's just like, it's just comically stupid.
Yeah.
And I know that I like, yeah, you're right. They added it for the blockbuster effect. It's like, oh look, we have the bigger budget, but like, it was so unnecessary to have that sequence in that movie.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And also the one guy hanging out the side of the helicopter is like, you
Yeah.
are so annoying.
Uh
God.
I'm changing my rating and taking a drink on that one because it is going down to a fucking joke for me too. You talked
I would
me into the lower rating.
We also didn't talk about the firebombing sequence because we passed it technically, but also the zombie dad. He They showed buildings being blown up from the firebombs, and he's
And he just
outside in an
hiding in the
alley, and
alley,
he fucking lives. Like, I get the
just sitting
symbolism,
there
like,
chilling.
oh, the dad's taking out his entire family, and they're the only hope at
Yeah.
potentially coming
Mhm.
up with a cure. It's like, oh my god, but Jesus Christ.
Alrighty. So that brings us to Private Doyle, Jeremy
uh,
Renner. Yep. He his
I gotta
scene.
go. Where you going with it?
I'm just saying, for those to catch up, like CG doesn't remember a lot of the
Uh,
scenes, so just to bring them up. So we have Private Doyle with the girl in the movie and the kids, and they're in the car trying to escape the poisonous
Gas.
fog, which doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. And the car stalls, and he gets out to push it like it's an old late 1980s, early 90s car, where if he pushes it, it's gonna start. And then his the military partners of his light him up.
Yeah, wait, that's not how that works.
So
Wait, what?
Marcus, what?
I mean, I have it at almost iconic because of the fact that one, Jeremy Renner's character, I love him.
Hmm.
Two, the whole gassing scene actually does make sense because that's what they did in Nazi Germany too, to basically like any remaining folks that they thought was left, they just wanted to double check and make sure, which is sad, but they used the same tactics, so it's historically accurate. And then the fact that he just went out the way that he did with them, with the fire, whatever you call it thing, flamethrower.
There are different
Dude, he
things
went
about
out like
that
a G.
chassis that don't make sense.
Yeah, he went out like a G though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that almost iconic because he was an iconic character in my opinion. So
all right. Noah, how about you?
I'll put it at lots of potential because I was sad to see the character go, and how he went out was really brutal and heroic. But the one thing that doesn't make sense, closing the vents in the car and then like using like the
that didn't make sense.
Stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's not gonna work.
That's bullshit.
And then it's like, okay, well, and then Jeremy Renner went out with a loosely covered drape on his face. Why couldn't they, like, I don't know, like that was kind of stupid. So like it has lots of potential because it could have been much more serious and heart wrenching, but there's a lot of inconsistencies. We watch a lot of World War II documentaries. I'm sorry. So like, there's a lot of these things that just like we've seen this stuff before, and it just doesn't add up realistically. But poor Doyle.
I respect that.
Doyle.
I respect that argument.
Yeah.
I respect that argument. Like they could have had a better technical advisor. Like, hey, this is how it works. This is what it would do. Yeah.
Now, so I'm going to have it at lots of potential too, which is going to drop it down because this is our second popcorn moment movie of the movie where it's like, all right, what can we do to make it worse for everybody? All right, let's have them driving through the streets and poisonous gas chasing them down every street that's open. Wait a minute, that's not enough. So we gotta take somebody out. So how are we gonna do that? Let's make the car suddenly stall. And so I thought it was just thrown in there. I think if you take the poisonous gas out, which has to move it moves the movie along a little bit further. That's why they did it, to speed it up. I think it would have been a stronger scene without the poisonous gas and them coming across a car and the same thing happening without the poisonous gas. I think it would have been a little bit harder on me
More
to see him
impactful.
go out. Yeah, definitely. So that's why I have this one at lots of potential. Is just because they threw everything at the wall to see what would stick. Just like, all right, let's throw. It's like Cabin in the Woods. All right, let's throw poisonous gas in there. Let's throw flamethrowers in there. All right, let's throw the car stalling in there. Let's throw it all in there. So I think they did too much in this one. So that's where I leave
That's
it,
fair.
this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so now we have Miss Scarlet. Miss Scarlet's been with the kids throughout the entire movie. She gets them through the tunnel, and then good old Don shows up, and he meets up with her and takes her gun, and we get to see her through her scope getting beaten to death. So no, where you got?
I honestly feel like we're talking about Mrs. Loomis every time we bring up Don now. Jesus Christ.
Where you got it, Noah?
Oh, is it my ranking? I'm gonna put it at meh. I like the build up to the scene. I like going through because it reminds me of Quarantine, which is like I forgot about doing that movie in the ranking, but like I really like the night. I always love night vision scenes. They're really fun. And then walking through the dead bodies, and I will say they're being so loud. Like they're like, oh
yeah,
God,
they were.
Be quiet, whisper. It's like,
yeah. To your right, not that right.
Whispering to the entire country right now.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't understand how he hit her with the scope. Because the scope is like if you're like it's like an M16.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Like he would have had to just go, let me just bend that in half and then hit her with the scope.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that works unless he drove it forwards and then hit her with the top of the scope. But then that wouldn't show her face. So another kind of inconsistency with the film that I didn't like. But the build up to the scene was cool, but it just didn't really make that much sense to me. I think it would have made more sense if she was still holding the gun and trying to fire on him, and we see him mauling her while she's doing that. Because like let's say like a headshot only kills him still. Like because I think that's how it works, but. Like he's hitting her and she's dying because of that. So we see him kill her and she stops moving and then drops the gun. That would make more sense. But her getting hit with the scope and it's hitting her in the face. And also, it doesn't break. That doesn't make that much sense to me.
Yeah, that's a good point there too. So I agree with you. This is a mech because it feels like they had no idea on how to take out Scarlet. It's like, oh crap, we just want the kids to survive, so we don't know what we're gonna do. So all right, we'll just have him beat her with the gun. Oh, you know what would be a cool shot? Let's do it through the night scope angle. So, yeah. I That whole scene was kind of annoying to me because they're walking down the stairwell, and Scarlet is panicking. Like we didn't see Scarlet panic really throughout the entire movie, but now she's panicking in the dark with this night scope in there. So it just kind of took me out of the film a little bit. Maybe this is where we see some of the quarantine and record influence come into the movie.
Mhm.
So that's the thing with 28 Weeks Later. I think we see them influenced by outside movies
Mhm.
more in this one than we did them doing their own thing. So yeah,
Yeah, where
definitely
they were
met for me.
doing the influencing.
Yep. How about you, Marcus?
I got it at a fucking joke because,
Oh,
like
okay, all
Noah
right.
said,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
because I mean, I love the character. I like the build up at first when they were on the escalator on top of the corpses.
Mhm.
But then, like Noah said, everything that he said just made it a fucking joke for me because I was
Mhm.
like, it didn't make sense. And then by that point, I was annoyed by Don. Anyway, by that point, because I'm like,
Mhm.
how is this fool still around anyway?
And
So,
how's he just
so
on their ass? Like he's just on
yeah.
their ass.
Like he'd been following them the entire movie
Yeah.
like a dog, you know. So
Mhm.
I was like, yeah. By that point, I was just fed up with Don. So yeah, it was a fucking joke for me.
Like he was almost like a different breed of them. It was so
He was like
weird.
what do they call them in The Walking Dead? The elevator
Uh,
walkers or whatever they called them in season
Mhm.
11.
Yeah.
The advanced walkers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of him as like the hunter from Left 4 Dead. Like he's just stalking them and he's plotting his attacks and whatnot. Like it's just, oh my god.
Yeah.
And the first time he
I
gets
mean,
shot is
hell,
his daughter.
even The Last of Us did the stalkers a lot better than what they did in 28 weeks
Mhm.
later
Yeah.
with the
You know,
stalkers, you know.
the more we talk about the end of this film, the more I dislike it. Oh my god.
I mean, even like the overall ending, without like talking about the deaths, like the ending left a lot of questions without really any basis of them. It was like yeah, I know that like
Fell apart.
England and Paris isn't that far away, but like they
It
did it.
fell apart.
There's so much left on the table. Like there's so
Yeah.
much left on the table at the end of this film.
Yeah. We're going through these
Yeah.
scenes and I'm realizing how much it fell apart at the end.
Yeah,
And then that brings us to Tammy shooting her father Don. So like it was lackluster. So I'm throwing it in a fucking joke because there was no real big payoff to it. It was just like, all right, boom, done, and that's it. That's a movie. They jump on the helicopter and they're. Uh, See, now I'm getting mad about this movie because I'm thinking about the helicopter scene in Paris. How that doesn't add up, but yeah. So yeah, Tammy killing Don. Don finally gets his due. No really big payoff, I think, when it comes to this film. When it comes down to his death, it's not really satisfying. It's just like finally, it's over. So fucking joke. Well, Marcus, what do you got?
I got to add a fucking joke too, but because of the fact, and I know a lot of people don't even know about it, uh, they actually explain what happened, how the infected got to Paris in the comic books.
Hmm.
So because I know how that played out, because that story actually took place as like right before and during 28 weeks later. So it picks
Hmm.
up from 28 days later. And I could tell that 28 years later is borrowing some stuff from the comics. But Jim gets killed off in the comics and stuff. And I'll talk about that later. But
Well,
uh,
he's dead in 28 years later too, or 28 days later, because they changed the ending. Like there was two endings. So
yeah.
if you remember, 28 days later came out with the unhappy ending, and then they changed it halfway through to have a happy ending, and the happy ending is what stuck.
Well, in the
well,
comic, how he dies is
like he gets shot.
the major from the first film.
Hmm.
One of his close friends is a general, and then he's stalking Selena throughout the whole comic book story.
Hmm.
And it starts off that he tracks Selena, Hannah, and Jim down at a camp, and he tortures and kills Jim out of
Hmm.
revenge. So that's how he dies in the comics. Um, and then Hannah and Selena get away. Uh, But yeah, man, that whole scene with Don and his daughter killing her was a fucking joke. Even though I did like the part that Don attacked his son, I thought that was cool. But I was like, man, it could have just. I was like, if I was her, I would have beat his head in, bashed his head in, let all my aggression out, not just shoot him. You know, you would think it would have been more impactful than what it was. So. Uh-oh. Y'all frozen? Dave, Noah, you guys frozen? Well, hello, everybody. We're having technical difficulties. Please bear with us. But if you haven't seen the films, I highly recommend watching 28 Days, 28 Weeks Later. They're just good films, even though we have our gripes about Weeks Later. And then if you get a chance, pick up the comics too.
All right, let me I'm back on. Let me switch around my cameras here. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can do it here. There we go. Oh no, I'll have to exit out. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, I highly recommend you guys pick up the comics because again, it's set in between 28 days and 28 weeks later, and it follows Selena. And then you see how the outbreak started in Paris. It's a cool read. Like in that comic book series, you also see like in the trailer 28 years later where a bunch of people kind of become a cult in a sense. And they have like their own villages and own little sections where they're fighting against each other and stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty cool story.
All right. Sorry about that. It's been raining here for 2 days. Everything was flooded around the house yesterday. So all the power just went out. So I'm on my mobile hotspot right now. I can't see Marcus because of my internet being poor. Noah will be with us in a second. He's actually in the next room, so he should be on very shortly as well. Just waiting for the internet to kick back on. But talking about what you were mentioning there, Marcus. So the end. Oh, there's Noah now, so he's on. All right, welcome back, Noah.
Thanks. I can't hear you.
Huh. Interesting. But Marcus, talking about the ending there. So there was the unhappy ending for 28 Days Later and the happy ending for 28 Days Later. I don't know if you touched on that. But I think like with I thought I saw the unhappy ending originally, and every time I watch it now, it has the happy ending on it. I don't remember what happens. Do you remember the unhappy ending for 28 Days Later?
The unhappy ending, I thought Jim died from his wounds from what the major shooting, if I wasn't mistaken. I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's just the two of them in the field at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But like I was sharing with the audience, in the comic book, the major's friend kills Jim, tortures and kills Jim out of revenge. Like he stalks and tracks down Jim, Hannah, and Selena at a refugee camp, and he tortures and kills Jim in front of everybody.
Yep. Alrighty. All right, so let's go here. Let's go into our final rankings here. I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to put them in order for the unalive moments. So we're looking at perfection. So perfection, we have the opening scene with the activist and the scientist. We have Jim going ballistic. And then we have the extermination scene. Those are our three here. So how do we want to rank these here? So does the extermination scene come up to number 1 and the scientist and the activist scene drop down to number 3? What's our thoughts here?
I would probably put the extermination scene at number 1 and then bump the other two back. Just because for me personally, because the extermination scene made me like genuinely like my stomach felt weird watching the scenes. Like, ooh, I don't like how realistic this feels. So that's why I would put it that way. But I'm interested to hear whatever anyone else might say.
I would
All right.
actually go, for me personally, I would go Jim is number one. Because of just his arc throughout the movie and ending up where he was. Then I go to extermination scene, and then I go the monkey, the chimp, and activist.
You know what? I kind of like this here too. When I think about these three scenes, the activist is definitely the lighter scene of the three here. Jim just going crazy is a little bit more disturbing because it's not so much that it's his character arc. It's this guy that really didn't want to hurt people gets pushed to that point, and now he's become like Celine, and he's not afraid to do that stuff now. Where you had Private Doyle or Jeremy Renner's character, and that's like where he really has the same questioning, and he goes the opposite way. But you know what, Marcus, I have to think about this too, Marcus. When we're recapping here, I'm gonna flip it just because of the scene where you said like Private Doyle is debating what he's doing, and then you have the other guy that is getting satisfaction from it, which is a little bit more disturbing. So yeah. I think that's how we fall.
Yeah, I can agree with that scene too. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yep. All right. So then that brings us to our almost iconic scenes here. So let me take a quick stab at this one. So I think we have Frank at the top.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think the farm scene is number 2 for me. Actually, right, the way this is laid out, I think this is how 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 goes for me.
I could agree with that.
Noah, thoughts?
I mean,
I would put the containment scene in between the farmhouse scene and the dad's death. I think that's a good second place because that really elevate. Like, yes, it does miss out on like the additional of people accidentally taking other people out because they're just scared and trying to get away that I would have liked, but I think that scene was very intense as well. So that's where I would put that one.
I can't argue that either. So either way,
all right,
that order is
we'll
fine
move it
for
up.
me.
There we go.
Listen, guys, this isn't the Scream franchise. We don't have a lot to argue about.
All right, Marcus, how about this one? You want to lay this one out?
I will put definitely the little boy first.
Okay.
Mailer in the major second. Yeah, I would leave it like that from here on out.
Really? All right. Here's what I would change. I'm going to throw the guy that was taken out, executed to last. I'm going to throw Doyle up ahead of that. And I would move the facility scene above the compound scene. That's how I think it works. No, how about you?
I put the compound scene last.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Just because there felt like there was more weight on the on the soldier.
Yeah.
Killed
No, I could agree with that. Yeah.
All right.
I could agree with that.
Worked.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now we're getting into the mess scenes. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, leave it like that.
Okay.
Matter of fact, both of them, you could just leave it.
All right. Yeah. So we got Karen, and then we got Scarlett going out like an ass, and then we got the helicopter, and then we got the daughter in there, Tammy. So
yeah, I mean, at least the other one we laughed at. Yeah, because at least the helicopter scene I was able to. I was taken up. Like I laughed in in a sense that I was taken aback by it. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know we were doing that. Like I didn't. That's an interesting one there. Like that is a straight to TV scene right there that you would put in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So there's our rankings for the 28 days and 28 weeks unaliving moments of the first 2 films. If we all get a chance to see it, maybe we'll update this and throw in some of the newer ones that happened in 28 years later. Now, next week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the characters, and then we'll dive into some other stuff as well. What? Wait a minute. What is going on here?
You're all wrong.
Wait a minute.
I've got you playing on the side as well. That was a little embarrassing. You're all wrong.
Oh, he's watching us.
I came to say hi, everybody. I'm so sorry I couldn't be in this episode, but I wanted to be a part of it somehow. So here I am.
All right.
What's
All right.
happening?
Well, welcome. Welcome as we're ending. So
I got my Randy
we're-
Orton haircut. Came for the surprise cameo.
Oh, he came in with the RKO out of nowhere to say hi.
Yeah.
All right,
I
so-
was watching you guys' list. It looks good. It looks good.
it looks good. All right. We're happy that it looks good.
I can agree.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. You're looking
All right.
No, you,
spiffy.
Thank you. Thank you. I try. Had to tell her to get my
That's-
edges right.
That's the new look for the music. That's the new look for the music.
Oh, it's the new look because I can't take the hair. I can't take it.
Not everyone can handle it, man. Not everyone can handle it.
Yep. Yep. All right. So
now,
next
I will
week we're
say
gonna-
this about 28
What?
years later, man.
What?
I'm a riot if they don't use "In the House in the Heartbeat" song in the movie.
Mhm.
I'm also
They got
upset
it.
That's like the main thing. They have to. man.
I'm gonna be upset if they don't at least mention or like somehow like explain what happened to Selena and Hannah if they're not in it. But I would enjoy it if they're actually in the movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just to have
my
Cillian
God.
Murphy's character in it, and then they don't explain
There's a
why
lot
he's
of
not with them
unanswered
anymore.
questions from the second movie that hopefully will get touched on in this movie. Though I do hope that it is more so of like that they focus on the new people that we have. I really want to have that focus because that's where these movies shine. Because the first movie we had the focus on Cillian Murphy's character. Yeah,
I think
Yep.
I'm
Jim.
gonna say
Yeah, Jim.
Jim. We had the focus solely on him for that movie, and then the next movie we had Mr. Goldberg from. If you guys watched it, Once Upon a Time, it's the only way I remember his face. But you know, focus mainly on him, and now I want to see it focus on Aaron Taylor, John, and his son. I think I want to see it really bad because that's where
Mhm.
they do great character work in these movies, and I think that's where they shine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they
I
did
agree.
announce that this is a new trilogy. It's a trilogy that they're doing, and so Cillian Murphy is going to show up in the second one and the third one of this new set of films.
Mhm.
I don't know how much he'll show up in this one, like he's in it, but I don't think a lot. But they did say that he is going to show up in the other two.
he's having his
It makes
Luke
me feel like
Skywalker
they're gonna
moment
find a
on the
cure somehow. I don't know why. It would be dumb,
be
but it
different.
makes me feel like they're going to be doing something like that. And honestly, not a lot of zombie movies go down the route of having a cure. So
Mhm. Yeah. It's typically an unhappy ending, right?
Yeah,
you never know. We might see people cry of tears of joy.
I doubt it.
yeah. I think World War.
Well, with the
Yeah, I
with a
think World War
franchise
Z was the
known for
last
it
one that did
falling
it.
apart. Yeah. With the
Is-
franchise known for people like with like people not being able to like come to a consensus and just everything falls apart because people couldn't people together. I
Yeah.
don't know how that would play out because like 28 weeks later was to contain what was already contained, and then somehow we made it worse. And now we're in 20 years later where the infection spread across the globe. It doesn't seem realistic in this franchise. I think that would seem rather weird.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it would come out of nowhere. That would be the shock of the movie, I guess.
Well, I don't know. So if you think about it, right? Like, so you have the little boy now that is a carrier, but doesn't turn into an infected rage zombie, right? So there's probably a lot more people that can carry it, but not have the symptoms of it, and that's how it's spreading around the world. So, like, once it hits Paris, you know it's going to spread through all of Europe and Asia. So then it's only a matter of time before you get one of those atypical people that's going to go from that continent to this continent, just like it did in the pandemic. It's the same thing. Somebody is going to
Well,
carry it and not show the
Wouldn't that be
symptoms.
wouldn't that be a plot hole error since they starve within 5 to 6 months, and if
See,
like
that's
let's say across the globe for a year
that's
or
where a
two,
lot of people
everybody
have
would be
some
dead.
issues with this new movie coming out and it being 28 years because you know they have you know these people are still people, they still need to eat things, they still need nourishment to stay alive.
Mhm.
But I believe what they're going for is a suspension of disbelief, kind of like how The Walking Dead worked, but in The Walking Dead where they showed like the decaying zombies and like how the years were affecting them. I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
those were also
more so
different
just-
zombie types.
Well,
They
because
were
you never know.
undead. They were dead.
They could also explain it away where it's like, you know, it's maybe just because they're not finding as many humans now, they're just hunting animals en masse or whatever. Like it could be something like that.
Well,
but
they
at
even
the end
said
of the
that they
day, I
hunted
think
it.
it's
They
just
even
going to be one
suggested
of those
that.
things where it's probably just a suspension of disbelief thing. Like you gotta really
guess.
push yourself away from the thought of them being people after they turn into the zombies.
Mhm.
I
they're
mean,
meant
I
to
guess,
be
but
more
they
animalistic
play
than-
into the realism factor within this franchise within the first two
They do.
films. So
They do.
to suspend disbelief in this film kind of feels like a disrespect to what the franchise was going for initially.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's why I'm
Hey-
hoping this movie has a lot of answers to a lot of questions. Like I
Yeah,
want-
that's the thing. Like, there's just a lot of questions that need to be answered.
They do
I don't
mention
know, it
that
sounds
the
like-
infected evolve
Go ahead.
somehow in this one. I said they do mention that they evolve somehow. So I'm curious to see, like, you know, how much do they evolve, because they showed the one clip of the one infected taking out the soldiers, and you could tell like he looked a little less infected and looked actual like just a normal human again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to see like
Just gotta
what the
turn them into
evolution
goddamn vampires or
is.
something.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the evolution is.
I think it's gonna be something along the lines of where like we saw the Walking Dead's evolved like zombies or whatever, where they now have like the different types of them. I think it's probably gonna be something along the lines of that, but I think it's gonna be way more toned down. It's probably just gonna be that they're stronger. They now have one that like kind of thinks for all the other ones or whatever, or like sort of like a hive mind situation. Because that's what it looks like. I'm not gonna lie, it looks like they have one central zombie that they're gonna be focusing on throughout the film, and it's like it's gonna be kind of like
Yay! Another Don
chase.
situation.
I don't know, I like that. I like where it's kind of like it's almost like a Predator movie where you have two opposing forces while one is running from the other. You know, you're gonna have that meetup and you're gonna have that good climax, because though it's, you know, just another zombie or whatever, it's the smart one or whatever. It's the one that can like use tools or make shit or not. You never know.
He's crafting over here.
For real.
Yeah, it'll
Yep,
be
right
interesting.
now.
It'll be interesting to see if they do it like what they did with 28 weeks later, where they explain it's like, all right, we contained it, we fixed things, we rebuilt, and now here we're at. So I wonder if we're going to get the same type of opening for 28 years later, where they explain the cycles and how we got to where we're at. Yep.
Oh, it'd be cool. It would be cool if
They'll
they showed like
also
little
kind of
clips. It's
explain
like
how some of them have clothes as well, because like
It
a
would
lot
be
of
a cool
the
thing-
zombies have like loincloths.
it would be interesting. It's like if they went like, 2 months in, Asia fell or something like that. 3 months in, and like this city fell, and then 28. They could even reference 28 months later, Paris fell or something like that to reference the movie we never got. Just, you know, that, and then like show like little actual clips like in those countries. Like that would be cool.
Yeah.
This is turning out to be much bigger than I think even the original creator had intended, which I think is really cool. I think this is a really
Well, the first
cool...
movie was an indie film.
But it's so cool because it just spawned from that small idea of a really self-contained zombie story into what is now a franchise that like millions of people are so hyped about.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Maybe the three of us to get together and we'll go see it together, and then
for sure. For
yeah,
sure.
and then that first Sunday afterwards, we all can get back and critique on it, because I know Marcus is probably going to see it in the first couple nights as well. So, definitely something that we want to talk about and see if it's actually going to live up to the hype or not. Because the trailers got me hyped. Like I told you, the music, the score, and the trailers really got me
Ralph
hyped.
Fiennes is in this movie. Like we got Voldemort bald again. Like that's great.
So we'll see. We'll see if it delivers. So before we go, anything that anybody wants to add? Any topics of discussion before we call it a night?
Like I said, I say go pick up the comic book if you get a chance, or look it up online and read it, give it a read, and you'll feel my pain and wish that they would have adapted it into live action too. But yeah, definitely read it because
you did.
Yeah, you do get a little explanation of like how the outbreak happened in Paris, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic artwork too. Oh,
Mhm.
All right.
Lucas,
So
video game news.
oh, we do have some small video game news, and I'll keep it very brief. An Invincible fighting 3v3 tag team game has been announced for 2026.
Yeah, I
And
saw
it
the
looks
trailer
to
for it.
have some kind of thing in the game where after you beat them, you brutally murder them. Fatality
Like Mortal
style, which
Kombat.
looks fantastic, and I can't wait for it. But yeah. Also, RE9 is coming out for all you freaks.
Oh yeah, forgot about the trailer. The trailer dropped. The trailer dropped too. It comes out in February next year.
Looks
all
very
right,
good.
we'll probably
Yeah.
have to talk about that next week because I'm actually
Oh, for sure.
working on. I'm working on a Resident Evil NC-17 Lost Horror Media video for 2 weeks from now, and it's pretty interesting. So that's a
I'm
good
just
one.
I'm just glad they're going back to Raccoon City, and then also they're bringing back a character who is in relation to a character to Code Veronica. So I love that tie-in. So yeah,
Nice.
It's also been said we might see a return of Carlos, the man, the myth, the legend. I love Carlos.
Mhm.
Look, I'm gonna plant my flag here because everybody gives 28 Days Later the credit for reestablishing the zombie genre. It wasn't 28 Days Later. It was Resident Evil. Resident Evil is the one
Yep.
that
That's fair.
kickstarted it all off. So
28
Yep.
days.
All
Yeah, I
right.
would say the games,
Helps a lot.
too. Like I don't know if you're referring to the movies, but Resident Evil.
no, I'm
video
talking about the
games.
games. Yeah, the
Okay,
games
okay,
is what kicked
okay,
it.
yeah. Which is crazy to think about, like that video games was a resurgence to movies and video games with just because of how amazing these games were.
There's
Mhm.
a lot of great game media out there. There's a lot
Well,
of fantastic gaming media.
Resident Evil created the survivor horror. I can't even speak. Survivor horror video game subgenre, right? So
Yeah.
Resident Evil came out and it launched a whole new subgenre of video games that are out there. And the first Resident Evil game was so big they came out with a director's cut a year after it released. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's all people talked about. And then of course Hollywood took notice, right? So in the time here, you get a little bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about on Lost Horror Media. So in between Resident Evil 1 in 1998 and I think or 96 and Resident Evil 2 in 98 is that it gained so much steam that they called up George Romero and said, "Hey, we want you to do a commercial for Resident Evil 2." And he actually came in. He got with the movie set. He filmed an actual commercial of zombies and stuff like that for Resident Evil 2. Now it's a 30-second short. But that's what brought on the notion of George Romero directing a Resident Evil movie because he did the commercial and then it's like, you know what, dude, you're going to do a movie. And his movie was actually going to be NC-17 because of how brutal and how realistic it was to the game itself. And then Hollywood, they chickened out.
Stepped in and shit on it.
Yep.
And then that script. Well, that script actually ended up being adapted into. He has a zombie comic book series that he released probably like almost a decade ago. So the script for Resident Evil ended up becoming a comic book, and it's a good read. Yeah, it's a good read.
So maybe we'll talk a little Resident Evil next week before we jump into our characters. So
that would be nice.
Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you soon, and have a good week.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Bye, guys. Oh, I can't wait for that Invincible game. That's gonna be in my top 10 pre-downloaded games of the year.